everybody. My name is Trey Ratcliffe. Thanks for tuning in. We've got something a little different today. Normally the blog is all kind of happy-go-lucky, and we share a daily photo, we talk about art, we all kind of learn together, you know, this sort of thing. But today I'm going to talk about an experiment I did in 2011 with advertising in traditional magazines, and kind of what my results were. They were not as I expected. And so I'll talk about those, and we'll also something maybe a little bit surprise at the end, a little bit of a twist. So I'll kind of lay out the premise here. I decided to spend $30,000 on traditional advertising. We have a product here that we sell on the website called the HDR Video Tutorial. It sells great. People seem to really like the product. We have like less than a 0.5% return rate. So we know it's good, and you know, frankly, I see everyone else advertising in these big magazines, so I thought, well, you know, they must know what they're doing. I'm going to try advertising too, just to see. Well, before I get to my results, let me just talk a little bit about possible biases and this sort of thing, because I really did try to be as scientific as possible in this. I wanted to be smart and measure everything so that it could be very thorough and understandable and credible. So now, in terms of biases, of course, I am a blog. I live in sort of this online, web-centric, internet-centric world, and you know, we're always seen as pitted against traditional print media. You know, when one dies off, the other gets strong, so on and so forth. We know that's not really the case. There's some gray in there. There's room for both of these to coexist peacefully. So I'm not, you know, virulently against print or anything like that. But we've all seen the trends, right? We see how newspapers and magazines are slowly dying and slowly losing subscribers as the internet picks up speed and more people spend their time on the web in a browser. Getting news, getting inspired, educating themselves, so on and so forth. So even though I do have this blog, I think I'm pretty objective about this sort of thing. And honestly, I wanted this advertising campaign to be successful. You might be getting the shades of some hints now that it wasn't that successful. There is a shining star in this story. It's Scott Kelby and Kelby Media. I'll get to that. But I know I'm going to get a bit of hate from some traditional media and you know, some old school magazine publishers and stuff. That's fine. I think they'll probably start with various attacks here and there, either on me or on the blog. They'll say the blog here is insignificant. It's not. This blog gets a lot of traffic. We get over 150,000 photo views per day on average, and you know, plus we have about 500,000 Google Plus followers, and we have Twitter and Facebook and all that sort of thing. So it's not insignificant, and I'm fairly comfortable and conversant in this subject area that I'm talking about. So let's talk about the results here. So I decided to take this $30,000 and spread it around to 3 different magazines so we could have a good experiment here. Here's basically what I did. I wanted the ad to be a full-page ad, and I wanted it to be in the first third of the magazine. You know, I didn't want a little postage stamp ad in the back like X-ray glasses in Mad Magazine and stuff like this. I wanted it to be up there, you know, with Sony and Nikon and Epson and Nick and all these guys, right? Because people would be more likely to pay attention to a full-page ad in the first third of a magazine. I think that's generally agreed upon. I think that's pretty reasonable. Also, I wanted to run the ad for 3 different months, okay? So that we could, you know, maybe if they missed it one edition, they might see it the next edition. All these ran in April, May, June timeframe. The 3 magazines I chose were Shutterbug, Popular Photography, and Kelby Media's magazine, the Nap magazine, which is Photoshop user. So for Popular Photography magazine, For those 3 months, that cost $12,000. For Shutterbug, for those 3 months, it cost $6,000. And for the Photoshop User Magazine, for Kelby Media, it cost $8,000. Okay, so I got close to this 30,000 goal. So it was important to me to have some metrics to measure the effectiveness of these 3 magazines, and we put a different code in for each magazine. Like at the bottom of the ad, there was a 10% off coupon code with a different phrase for each magazine, so we could measure on the back end. Here are the results we came up with. So Popular Photography Magazine, that sold a total of 10 units, which is $870. The Shutterbug campaign generated a total of 11 units for $957 of total revenue. So you can see that those two were just disasters. I put a total of $18,000 into them, and I got about less than $2,000 in return. That's really bad. Sure, you can say that maybe some people came and they didn't use the coupon code or whatever, but we have sort of a baseline of sales, and we didn't see an uptick during that time beyond those people that were using the discount code. So I don't really think that was it. And this was kind of embarrassing to me as a small business guy, right? Because when you have a small business, the money for the business is kind of the same as the money for your family. So you're like, well, do I save this money for my kids' education, or do I spend it on this big, important sounding magazine and buy ads to try to expand the business? And so it was really embarrassing. And I know you're not supposed to take this stuff personally because it's business and whatever, but it's hard sometimes, frankly. It's hard to separate your business self and your personal self. So the shining star in all this was Kelby Media. I haven't given you those results yet. I was saving those for a surprise here. So for that time frame, we got 206 units sold from Kelby Media for a total of $17,000, $125.75, which is fantastic, right? That definitely was worth the investment with those guys. And so I looked at it. Why was Kelby so successful? Why were the others such failures? I'm sure it's because Kelby and his crew they're smart, and they have an integrated ad campaign, both print and online. They know, like me, that online is the future, and people occasionally like to have some paper stuff around from time to time because it's nostalgic. It feels good. You can take it on the plane. You know the reasons for magazines and so on and so forth. But I think their mixed media campaign, plus I felt like I got a lot of personal attention. Their advertising, the gentleman that runs it there, Kevin, he was always emailing me and calling me to ask how it was going, and that made me feel good. It made me feel like he really cared, about me as an advertiser, and that was nice. So all these results were kind of surprising to me, and I understand that they're anecdotal, and I started thinking about possible problems with my experiment. Maybe something that happened was people didn't want HDR video tutorial. I'll concede that. I know not everyone in the world is interested in this, but objectively, also I know that it is a popular thing. And if it was a bad product that nobody was interested in, then all 3 experiments would have failed, right? If nobody would have bought it on Kelby Media, then I would have known it's a dog of a product and nobody wants it. So I don't think that was it, honestly. I think it's just that people don't even read most magazines, or they just skip the ads. And that got me thinking, why are all these giant and medium-sized companies that advertise, why do they continue to spend so much money month after month advertising in traditional magazines when really the answer is right in front of them? It's the thousands of blogs out there that are driving incredible content and driving incredible sales all over the place. These people are really the future of media distribution. So let me compare those results to something that's kind of unexpected. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of a gentleman named Ron Martinson, but Ron has a blog, like so many people do. and he's one of our advertisers, okay? And he has generated over $8,000 in sales for us this year. He's one of our affiliate partners. We've got about 1,000 of these guys and gals, and basically they talk about a product, or they show an ad, and they drive traffic to us, and they get a percentage of every sale. It doesn't cost the user anymore. We just pay them a little bit. It's like Amazon affiliate. Now, my point is that if a little blog, medium-sized blog, whatever, it's a decent blog. If Ron's blog can generate that much for us, why aren't all these big advertisers going towards the blogosphere? This is an area of proven results. And if I was doing consulting, let's take a step back. Let's say I was doing consulting for one of these big product companies, an Epson or a Sony or a Nikon. I would say, look, guys, let's do an experiment, okay? Let's do kind of what Ford has been doing with online advertising and social media and the blogs and so on and so forth. Let's dive in head first and really give the internet a real run for its money. Let's take 50% of our advertising budget, okay, and put it into the internet. Let's go find 1,000 blogs, podcasts, this sort of thing, and experiment. They can measure results. They can get metrics. Do it for a few months, cut the worst 50% of those performers, and try again and keep iterating. This is really the future of media and commerce distribution, is all of the hundreds and thousands of individual media voices out there, all of which care deeply about this stuff. There's experts in every single possible category, and there's a lot of overlapping going on. This is the future of what's happening with the internet. Now, the first few advertisers that get into this and start taking a significant amount of their budget for advertising and put it into all these blogs and develop sort of a swarm-like strategy in advertising, they will be the first to establish kind of a beachhead, and it will be a tremendous advantage over all their competitors that will be laggards coming into this. This is clearly the way things are going. Either you see it or you don't. Okay, well, I hope this was helpful for you, interesting. I'm very interested in hearing your opinion, your experiences. Maybe I've said some things that you agree with. Maybe you've had similar experiences along these lines or have your own opinions. I'd love to hear them. We'll try to keep the conversation as civil and sophisticated as possible. I appreciate that. But, let's just have a discussion about it. I never hear anyone talk about this stuff for some reason, although it's, it's a pretty big deal, I think. Anyway, thanks for your time, and I will see you later. Bye.